area. KG4 Dairy. Correct.
Okay, so today is the day you either decide to recommend or deny KG4 Dairy permit. It was printed in the newspaper, the public notice on the 8th of this month. And as far as I know, one person looked at the application. That was it. I did not receive any written or verbal comments on it. So.
I'd move to approve it, I guess. I haven't heard nothing.
Got some members. Second. Motion and a second to approve the KG4 Dairy permit. Is there any further discussion?
What is the expansion they're doing in there?
So the expansion is, the dairy after the proposed expansion will consist of 4,200 mature dairy cows, 1,500 immature dairy heifers, and 1,200 head of feeder cattle.
What does that come to? If you add it up,
7,900.
12, 15, be 69.
Or 6,900, excuse me, 6,900.
6,900.
Is there any further discussion? If
Yeah,
not,
any concerns on your part, Doug, as far as?
No, this is all the DNR reviews all this. They do a site visit and they have an engineer that reviews it all. And
They basically relighted it. So, you know,
well, they have DNR goes out to the site, reviews the construction permit, make sure everything's in check. And they're the ones that have the final decision if it's good to go.
typically regardless of what we say.
Yeah, the county has basically no say in it.
Yeah.
There are no county regulations on livestock confinements.
all right, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes.
You voted aye, all right. Is you abstaining?
Dan, did you sign this?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Consent agenda?
Got the minutes and the claims. The VA monthly report. Making sure I don't have anything else. We got stuff in here that doesn't look like. I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Is it 9:40? I'm here about the road department stuff.
Down at 9:40.
Okay.
Had a, first judicial district, or what was first judicial district last week, and just kind of going through the reorganization, consolidation, acting directors. It's hard to keep track of which of these committees are all going through this consolidation thing, so. Anyway, it was interesting.
Mark, please speak up.
Okay, I had a first judicial district meeting and they're going through the same reorganization consolidation that the juvenile detention everybody else is going through, so. Just kind of figuring out going ahead, electing new officers. Have a hawk meeting today.
Anyone else have any other committee reports?
Behavioral health met last Thursday, and they're also waiting to see what the legislature comes down with from Kelly Garcia's office on Department of, behavioral health clinics and regionalizing that. It's another measure that could potentially hurt rural Iowa with their changes, but we gotta wait and see how it's going to affect us. We'll probably be expected to cover more counties. Not any more money, but to cover more counties.
Northeast Iowa Workforce Development Board put out a notice that they lost their Title I provider with goodwill because of, I guess, new requirements of the federal government on certain reporting requirements and or amount of overhead versus results. And so they have withdrawn, canceled their contract. So they're looking for another provider.
Who is that?
Northeast Iowa Workforce Development Board.
You guys speak up a little bit. I couldn't hear what the program was. It's workforce development, and Shirley was saying that we're now going to expand our coverage.
For the Northeast Iowa Behavioral Health Clinic.
Oh, okay. I see, but without any increase in resources. That's what you're saying. I see. Okay.
When I was going through the claims there, I kind of thought back that, were we going to look at trustee pay? Raising that? That's something we want to put on the agenda down the road here before we forget.
Agenda.
Yeah, sure.
Somebody have an extra agenda? I didn't realize I was supposed to. Oh, thank you.
I think there's some over there.
Thank you.
Well, Mike, you might as well take the chair. You got a couple of minutes and you get comfortable in it.
Do you guys want to
Full around.
Slide around the side, Mike, so you're talking.
today anyway?
You must be the county engineer.
I am.
I'm Diane.
Hi.
Hi, Diane. Shall I start or do you start? I don't really
Well,
know.
Mike will start.
Okay,
If you have
okay,
some questions, I guess we can have those answered.
okay.
This is, just have been around. Ben and Dan can sign this one. Isn't a question about it.
Oh, it is 9:40, so we'll get started. Mike Kueny, County Engineer. He has a couple of things here, agreement with Nick Rissman, and then some other road department updates.
Yeah, since the last meeting, I've continued my leadership training. We met with the foreman on Thursday, on February 22nd. We went over summer projects. So the shouldering of W14 and installing the front fill pipe, the two main projects we will work on. Went with superintendent for another summer project where we can swap out cattle pass from one location to another location. It's part of an additional project this summer. I had a safety committee meeting on February 19th. And then met with the lawyer regarding job descriptions that we're gonna post to the paper. One of the formats is that flow chart. I think that was the flow chart that was discussed that we needed to edit. One of the things to show supervisory the role of a supervisory position for both the assistant engineer and the assistant two engineer positions. And showing a arrow to the maintenance shop, maintenance and shop foreman. That's why that arrow is there. Just make sure that everyone understands that. The reason for putting that in there is to, again, show that there is supervisory power or supervisory role in the assistant engineer and in the assistant two engineers position. So that's why that's there.
You'll get that updated and set to John Anderson.
Well, I want to have you look at it, but also I don't know where the original document resides.
In your office somewhere.
In our office somewhere. It looks like it was printed by the auditor's office, so that's why I was gonna just.
Oh, I don't think we have it, so I can.
This is the out of the employee handbook, so this is something I did real quick, just to, so I can look into that further. Yeah.
We'll need action on this agreement with Nick Rissman from the board of legal act and that before we can sign it.
The invoice for 20,000 for the Bluffton Road update is still ongoing, so communications. I sent the email, I think it was on Wednesday, Thursday. Requesting more information from them. We'll hear back, hopefully we'll hear back from you soon. And that's all I have for the week. Hopefully we'll have tomorrow. Good for the RPA. Today. Looking for any information or direction from you guys. And that's.
I'd like to move on the request agreement. Make a motion to adopt.
Second one.
You have a motion and a second for the agreement with Nick Rissman. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Carries unanimous.
And talked about what's called the, roadside management, program. And, I brought in the plat map to show you where, this is where I live, and you see our land meets, right? And, it's true that the road crew did actually cut a few of our trees, I think, but they weren't anything. See, there's been a problem with big winds coming, knocking down all these old box elders, and they get knocked down into the creek. So the county had a legitimate reason to do clearing so that the culvert would flow correctly, right? But my question was, well, anyway, I just want to say what's really pressing on my mind is fire danger. Okay, today there's a big fire danger, and those guys have been out there open pit burning for the last week. And I really want you to be aware of that and check on that, because it says right on the fire thing, fire danger today, high winds. We don't want that. That thing is most likely smoldering. The gate was closed, so I couldn't get in there to see, but it's most likely smoldering underneath. And we don't want the whole hillside to go up. We are in dry conditions out there. And so I really questioned what is the ethic that is guiding your roadside management? I would really like to hear that. Then, right all along the creek, they then poisoned the trees, right, in the waterway, where the kids like to come and play and stuff like that. Okay, so once again, I'm not here just to criticize you, but I'm here to say that if we had engaged the high school ecology group to come up, okay, first of all, if you're gonna do roadside management, wouldn't it behoove everybody to go and study healthy ecosystems and then look at how to emulate that? Instead of coming in and taking down our elders, there's an old tree there, it's taller than my head. It's stumped, okay? Sitting there at the burn pit. There was no reason to take down that tree. There's a number of trees that there were absolutely no reason to take down, like the cedars or whatever. They're never gonna grow and impede your, like, what are your rules and how were the trees infringing upon them? That's something I want done. What I was saying is that instead we could have used this as an environmental education project. We could have gone to the kids in the high school and say, hey, how could you see this getting back to beauty again? Right? What do we need to do here? They could have drawn pictures. We could have talked about what trees would we like for shade in the future? And maybe had some moments of grief that the creek is not running right now because of the drought conditions. But that doesn't mean that we treat our creek like a ditch. We need to care for it. And so we could have gotten goats in there. Kids could have helped manage them. We could have done something so beautiful. There's an old trail there. The kids could go, I'm talking about the kids in the trailer court, right? Anyway, those are sort of all my questions. And particularly, I want to know, where did you take those trees? When you took the money trees off there, where did they go? Okay, where did you take them? What's done with them? The other money trees sitting out there, what are you doing with them? I've never heard anything. And I've seen this happen before. You guys quarter saw, you guys took an oak and quarter sawed it. You got a thing out there, bandsaw, a big bandsaw with a tractor. I know you don't know anything about it, but I do. And so these are things that I want to know. What is our policy about trees and creeks and these living beings? You showed absolutely no respect for the trees. That is even unchristian. God's creation, we are here to, and if it became unbeautiful because of the weather getting wacky, which it has been wacky out there. We've gotten straight line winds come through, and you should see the top of my thing. All my huge cherry trees are knocked down. So I'm well aware that we have a problem. But the way to fix it is not to go in there and level everything.
All right. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Should,
Let it be known, I want a policy, an environmental ethic, and a policy that, what is it that's guiding you? I want you guys to think about that. What is guiding your policy, please?
so, I guess my first thing I'll say, what was the issue with the elder that was taller than your head? What was the issue with that?
Why did you cut it down? For Christ's sake. It was standing, it was nowhere near the road. This was the oldest cottonwood there. It's like the stump is laying there, and the stump is as tall as my head. Okay, it's like this, and you're gonna burn it. And here's the thing, the climate, I mean, our planet Earth is warmer than it's ever been, and so doing something like cutting down trees and burning them up is just wrong-headed.
So
Thank you.
I'll address this specific issue, was we were called out there to see
Yep.
about a silted in.
Yep.
Culvert
Mhm.
December, roughly. So I went out there and looked at it and said, yes, this is a problem.
Yep.
I wasn't thinking it's too urgent. But figured that it would be in our normal maintenance, program. So basically my concern was upstream clogging from the trees.
Yep, exactly.
So the trees that were already laid out, that were already being scoured out underneath,
Mhm.
were to be cleared is what the direction was.
Mhm.
Normal policy for or normal practices for the crew are to clear out everything that's in the right of way. And that's, that goes way back. I'm kind of new to the job, so I can't tell you all the memorandums, but basically clear to the right of way is the standard.
Just because something has been a standard does not mean it can't change.
I
Okay.
agree with that 100%.
Okay,
I-
and I totally agree with you. Something needed to be done out there. The box elders are causing a problem. Here's the thing, if you are going to do a road management thing, you need to study healthy ecosystems. You need to know your trees. You need to know how they grow. When are they like that? You need to know a lot, Mr. Engineer. I'm sure you do.
So that's the policy. One of the nice things about having the trees cleared is that it allows, it provides safety in a number of ways, not just collision with cars, but it keeps, animals, more visible. You know, hiding behind trees and the colors of the animals make it hard for drivers to see animals as they get closer to the road. It's also provides.
You don't do this in Decorah. I've been looking around at the tree trim and stuff in Decorah. You're not treating their trees the same way you're treating our trees.
I can't speak for the city. Yeah, I don't speak for Decorah.
Okay. Okay.
But that's one issue. And then the other issue is that silting that occurs.
Yeah,
You intend to put prairie grass in there, to slow down, the silted erosion.
bravo,
And
bravo.
so that is beneficial that way. So anywhere we can get more grass to grow.
Okay, how about the burning out there, you guys? I've been on you guys, the engineer, I've been over to your shop a number of times when you've been burning shit in that pile. One time it was a whole front end of a truck. Another time, now I ain't saying that you guys throw everything, then there's couches, then there's this and that and tires, right? That are being burned out there. Now you dug a hole and put it, but I'm very concerned about that burn pit and the children's health. Okay, you can't be burning all kinds of stuff like that. Some of those kids got asthma.
I am not aware of any trash being burned. Trash is being taken care of. As far as I know.
Not exactly trash, it's stuff that people want to get rid of, but they apparently are too, not lazy, but they don't want to haul it
Is
to
is
the,
that a county operation? Are you accusing the county, personnel starting fires of couches and things?
maybe they're just turning their head the other way, okay? I don't know. You also haven't addressed, where are those money trees going?
I don't know what you're speaking of, because it's not coming
Okay.
from the secondary road fund.
Okay, well, I'm saying if you're gonna be in charge of road management, you better know which trees are money trees and what your crew is doing. Okay,
Point taken, but I'm not seeing a secondary road fund, so I can't speak to that.
where'd you take those walnuts, man? That's what I'd like to know, that they got gone real fast. Sorry,
This is too far for you.
All right.
I didn't think you were gonna like it.
I have no,
am
I
asking
have no,
questions.
I have no knowledge of what you're speaking of, so I can't say anything.
All right.
I would like to speak on the fact of these people that push their trees into the ditches before the culvert. There's one thing I was thinking of is north of Tom Hansen's, about a mile. There's a big ditch. I think it comes into that water retaining on the other side of the highway. But anyhow, they probably took 25 trees and just pushed them down in that
Yep,
ravine there, you know. Well, that's no place for them either. That isn't supposed to be. A big flood comes and it goes and blocks the culvert, and then you got a lot more headaches.
Clogging issues, yeah.
right.
And the way that's set up, you have, it kind of comes to a fork and then straight into that culvert. It's kind of hairy.
Sounds on Locustburg.
Well, it's north of Tom Hansen's, about a mile, and it's about a half mile into the field to the west. And about a year ago or so, they cleaned up that pasture and they took all the trees and they just pushed them down into the gully there, which is no spot for them.
Was that on private land?
I would guess, yes, yes, it isn't on your land, but I just think
That's,
the landowner should be,
that's not, we can't do nothing about that. That's not our,
okay, well, I just thought maybe.
That's private.
It's gonna.
I'd agree with you, that's
It's
not.
gonna eventually.
that's not the best way to do it, but we
Right.
can't.
We can maybe ask him to, you know, just looking out to the county, if you could
Yeah.
burn them, you know,
Yeah.
say burn,
Yeah,
something like that.
That's what the thing to do, just approach them and tell them this isn't your place for your trees.
Yeah, the county did me a favor, the last engineer, your guys accidentally dropped a tree on my fence line. One remote wouldn't do nothing. And then finally, I went to the engineer, he stopped by and I said, look at this. And you know what? He got that machine and got it out of there. So I'm all for working together. And I would really like it before you come in and do something like that, that you consult the people whom it's going to affect.
Yeah, they started, I mean, I didn't even know that day that they were gonna do it, so
Me either.
that's reasonable request, I
Yeah,
think, so.
Pleasant's
But-
got goats. The kids could have had a, well, I know you're laughing at me, but people do.
We can't do that.
Can't put goats in the right of way.
That puts us in a liability issue. You got kids playing in the ditch.
Safety
with
issues.
goats. No, we're opening us up to a whole can of new worms there.
I'm from Albuquerque County. We didn't have any rules over there about all kinds of things.
Liability issues, you can't.
I will, yeah, I'm planning on driving into our county here after this.
Thank you for your concerns.
Thank you.
And then what was your name, sir?
Chuck Huber.
Okay.
Anything else from Mike? Or a couple, do you want to meet with a couple of supervisors again and
I can, yes.
maybe next week or?
Next week, or, I mean, I can go after meetings too, so. Either.
Best time or who wants to
I
sit?
can.
Okay.
I put next week.
Next week? Sure. Sounds good.
Will you please send somebody out to check on that fire today?
I will drive by,
Well, thank you.
yes.
And go in and check it, really, for sure.
We are under red flag alert from
Yes, I
emergency.
got that notification.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Next on the agenda, 10 o'clock, Amy Zeigler, State Tourism Manager for Travel Iowa.
We have some handouts, copies of the presentation that she's gonna share. She's on the Microsoft Teams. Is there a way that she can? I'm gonna try this.
This should be true.
If not, you can sit here too.
Okay. And she shared her presentation.
I think so. Unless something's been changed.
She could,
Allow you to share.
So what,
We all
I mean, I think they want you to sit here. Okay, sorry.
move this way.
Oh, I see.
But she's getting set up. I'm Stephanie Fromm. I'm Executive Director for Winneshiek County Development Tourism. We have a great opportunity to host the State Tourism Office, and she's gonna kind of go provide a brief overview of Winneshiek County's tourism data. So Amy, I'll let you run it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Like she said, I'm Amy Zeigler. I'm the State Tourism Manager at the Iowa Economic Development Authority, and I'm a proud native of Winneshiek County. I actually grew up on a farm just south of Fort Atkinson. My parents still farm there, so we get back often, and I know exactly what kind of a gem you have in Winneshiek County and Decorah as a tourism asset. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the numbers of, there we go. All right, so the Iowa Tourism Office is part of the Iowa Economic Development Authority. I know IEDA has done a lot of work with Stephanie and a lot of work in Decorah and Winneshiek County. But our mission at the Iowa Tourism Office is really twofold. It is to elevate Iowa's unique visitor experiences and hidden gems, to inspire travel and create lasting memories. And it is also to support those local communities and our destinations to strengthen the state's economy. And we really do that in a lot of different multifaceted ways. First, it is through our marketing and promotion, whether it's our Soul of Iowa campaign that featured Decorah a couple of years ago, with our website, our travel guide, our social media, all of those kind of marketing promotion aspects. We also have funding in the way of Iowa Tourism Marketing Grants, as well as our Tourism Marketing Co-op program. And then finally, we do a lot of networking and educational opportunities. And we're actually hosting a Tourism Insider meeting here in Decorah tomorrow and Wednesday, bringing about 70 people from all over the state to Decorah to experience Decorah and learn from each other. So that is the Iowa Tourism Office. One of the big questions that we get pretty often at the Iowa Tourism Office is, how is tourism really part of the economic development strategy? And I think there's a bit of a misconception in a lot of areas, and in tourism in general, that tourism is creating a brand or creating a logo or having a travel guide and running some ads or running an event. And tourism is really much broader than that. To have a strong economic development strategy, you really need to think about how tourism weaves into that, right? And there's really 4 ways that tourism weaves into economic development. The first is revenue generation. Tourists are your best taxpayers, essentially. They come in, and whether it's through hotel motel tax, local option sales tax, or truly that just visitor dollar, they're coming in and spending money and then going out of the community. You're able to use that revenue that was generated for local amenities, quality of life, fire, safety, conservation, education, whatever that might be. So we'll talk a little bit about the numbers specifically in Winneshiek County in a bit, but that is the #1 reason that tourism ties to economic development. The second is business viability. We know in a lot of communities, our small businesses, restaurants and retail in particular, are kind of the lifeblood of the community. It gives you that sense of place. It gives you kind of that quality of life aspect of things. There are studies out there that say at any given time in any given restaurant, 40% of the patrons are actually visitors. So how would those businesses continue to survive if you just took out 40% of their total sales revenue for the day? So think about that and how tourists really encourage that business long-term viability. The third reason is the halo effect of tourism marketing. And this started kind of as a study with the Pure Michigan brand that you've probably heard of, but it's been repeated and really has found that in almost every case, tourism marketing has a halo effect on a community. It creates not just a positive lift for the destination and for visitation, but also for things like business attraction and college recruitment and real estate sales, and the list really goes on. So the halo effect, and then last, and this to me is where the rubber really meets the road, is visitors are your future employees. In Iowa and probably in Winneshiek County, no different. We have more open jobs than we have people to fill them, right? We need to bring more people into Iowa to fill those jobs. And that is what we are doing at a state level, is using tourism to encourage workforce and talent attraction. We believe this so strongly, in fact, that a couple of years ago, we did a marine study and said, okay, let's prove out this hypothesis that travel is the first step in thinking about moving to a new location. And we found that yes, 64% of adults say that they have seriously considered moving somewhere after visiting on a vacation, whether for business or leisure. So we know that that is a thing, right? And who is most open to relocating? I think the pandemic really kind of created a lot of mobility in the workforce. This is a study from May 2021, again, an Iowa Tourism Office and an EDA study. 70% in May 2021 said they would consider they were likely to consider moving for the right opportunity, and that likelihood is highest for ages 20 to 40. So that's really our tourism marketing strategy at a statewide level, and how that all works. I also want to talk a little bit about Tourism Shed. So you've probably heard from Iowa Workforce Development. They do labor shed studies where it shows, here is the radius around your community that people come into the community to work. They use those a lot in business attraction and retention efforts, just to kind of show, here's the labor force participation of the community. You can use that same kind of theory as far as tourism. And I've got Decorah up there in the primary radius right there. And this is just a screenshot from the Travel Iowa website showing the amenities in a 25-mile radius around Decorah. And it kind of just shows, you need to partner and collaborate with a larger aspect of things. There's a formula that says for every hour someone travels from their home, they need 4 hours of things to do. So if you are thinking about myself traveling in from Des Moines, let's say it's a 4-hour drive, I'm rounding up a little, but we need 16 hours of things to do to market to get someone from Des Moines to even consider making a trip. So it really is important to think about how you collaborate and partner with your local community. Decorah may be the anchor, but those parks, conservation areas, trails, scenic byways, all of that plays into that larger aspect of a tourism marketing area. I also want to share some specific numbers for Winneshiek County. You have these printouts. Hopefully we have a little bit of time for questions at the end. But one of the reasons Iowa Tourism Office really exists is to provide this data and resources to all of the communities in Iowa. So Winneshiek County Tourism, it does have access to all of these numbers and figures. We contract with nationally and internationally known vendors to provide this data for our state. So in Winneshiek County specifically, $42.8 million in visitor spending from 2022. And this is truly visitors. This isn't my mom going to Walmart and buying groceries. That is not part of visitor spending. But what is part of visitor spending is maybe me coming and camping and going to Walmart and getting the supplies for camping. So that's kind of how the visitor dollar is situated. We consider visitors anyone who travels at least 50 miles from home and spends at least 2 hours in the destination. So it's not commuters, it's not pass-through people. These are people who are truly spending time in Winneshiek County. You can see it's up 8% year-over-year growth from 2022 to from 2021. But what I think is more important is to look at those pre-pandemic numbers and the fact that you are above and beyond 2018 and 2019 numbers already. So that's really, really positive growth. We can also extrapolate those numbers out from not just visitor spending, but to true economic impact. So this is when we come in, visitors come in and pay admission to go to Vesterheim. Then Vesterheim is able to take those dollars and hire a local electrician to do work or something like that. It's that extrapolating out of the visitor dollar and how that impacts the wider community. So again, in 2022, Winneshiek County numbers, $63.7 million in total economic impact from the visitor dollar, generated $9.2 million in state and local tax revenue for the county and the state. Every single day, about $117,000 spent in Winneshiek County from visitors, and 5.3% of the jobs in Winneshiek County represented as tourism jobs, including my very first job, which was at the train station in Kueny.
So is anyone going to speak to the detrimental effects of tourism, or is it just you can? Okay, good. Because I have a master's in development studies, by the way, and what I have seen of economic development in places.
Hopefully we can take some questions and comments later. Let her continue on with it.
Okay, and who is funding your agency?
It's state government.
Please.
State government.
Yes. Yes.
Question.
All right. So I do have, and I think the printout has, I can show you. We can get a better screenshot of this for you to really truly compare. But I wanted to give you some comparison to other counties around Northeast Iowa. So we have visitor spending at $42.8 million. That breaks out into several different categories there: transportation, food and beverage, lodging, retail, and recreation. That generally adds up to that 42.8. But I wanted to give you just some numbers on how you stack up against some other Northeast Iowa counties. Alameda up there with $30 million, Fayette with 17, Howard with about 7.5, and then Clayton with 26.3. I also wanted to give you some comparison to a different county that's very similar as far as population and size and tourism amenities. Marion
Interrupted
County.
her. She's the state tourism director
Okay.
from Des Moines. She's sitting at the table.
Okay,
and
I want to
so-
get the.
It happens. It's fine. So Marion County is where Pella is. Pella also has a small private college. They have a very strong cultural Dutch heritage, similar to the Norwegian heritage here. They have a lot of outdoor recreation amenities. They have some nationally known other amenities as well, very similar to Decorah and Winneshiek County. But you can see their visitor spending 49.2 million, comparing to Winneshiek at 42.8. And we can dig into why that is, but just kind of wanted to give you a comparison to another similar county in Iowa. We also work with a company called Arrivalist, which does geolocation data for each individual county and city in Iowa. In Winneshiek County, this is 2023 numbers. The economic impact was 2022, so just kind of keep that in mind. Very strong visitation from May through October here in Winneshiek County. The peak is there in September. So it's really interesting to kind of see, when are people coming to the county. We also know where they're coming from. We know that the top origin market for Winneshiek County is Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, Dubuque area, which makes sense as far as proximity. But the number 2 there is Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is really, really great to see. An out-of-state market do very, very well in the top 3. Then we have Des Moines and Ames, and then kind of on down Rochester, La Crosse, Davenport, Madison, Sioux City, Chicago, and Milwaukee. Not the top 5 or top 10, excuse me, origin markets for tourism in Winneshiek County. And finally, we also know how long they stay. It is a little bit creepy how much data you can get from cell phone geolocation. However, these are also very strong numbers. We have 53% of our travelers in Winneshiek County are day trips. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're not spending the night, but it does mean they're spending less than 24 hours. So if you come in on a Friday at 5, but you leave before Saturday at 5, that is technically a day trip when it comes to this. Still very, very strong numbers. I would say most counties in Iowa are closer to the 60 to 65% day trips. And we know the longer people stay in market, the more money they spend and the more impact that has on the county. So I do think we have just a little bit of time for questions from the supervisors, but happy to be here today and thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great numbers.
So I had one for Amy. Amy, it was your department then working with Stephanie that was able to do those video clips that they're producing right now for the
Yeah.
small. Yeah.
Yes, that was our. Okay.
Yeah, that's very helpful to the smaller rural areas because
Yes.
Decorah gets the bulk of all of this, but
Mhm.
we have quite a number of other communities around.
Exactly.
Are you able to pull up, if we have time, to show a Soul of Iowa example?
Yeah,
video?
let me.
Because they are really well done. And if we could do more of those for attractions throughout the county, that'd be great.
I'll just stop sharing so I can find. They're doing a Solo Iowa 2.0.
We are.
So they're featuring other parts of the state now too, and they're more shorter clips, but there's more of them. And I just watched some,
I can share the link to the Decorah video. It'll take me a minute to find it,
Oh, okay.
but I have the other clip. This one.
have you seen the Solo Iowa? Like, the drone that kind of flies through?
I think some of us have and some in the audience have, but not everybody.
Why do you talk about the cost of tourism?
As far as.
The cost of tourism in terms of, okay, just take one example, Dunning Springs. Okay, you remember what that used to look like?
Mhm.
And how it looks now? You
I
call-
haven't
you
been in the
call
last
that
couple of years, but.
progress or development, or if you're getting so much money, why is it dirty and dirty? Turtles don't even live in there.
So our
But
money
hey.
is focused on marketing, and not as much on the tourism development
So whole different side.
side.
I'm gonna continue with this.
There were some clips. So this,
Wasting the
it'll catch up. We started this project, hopefully, there we go. We started this project in 2021 and featured 4 communities. Decorah was one of the 4 selected to be featured as part of this campaign for lots of reasons, which we can talk about. But the others were Okoboji, Des Moines, and Indianola. And really the upshot is that it was so successful that we're continuing that campaign with another 36 communities around the state. Decorah and that video will be part of that broader campaign aspect. And there's my numbers. We did a marketing follow-up study from that campaign and learned that of our border state travelers, 69% said they were more likely to visit Iowa after seeing that information. And 80% of travelers across the United States said, yeah, we would consider Iowa as a vacation destination. So very, very successful. And I'll get you the video and you can share that out.
I can send it out. You know, if you want, we could take a time slot.
Yeah.
We can work with IT to have a link on our website if that's something.
That's great. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Sounds good.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Bethany.
Yeah, definitely.
Couple miscellaneous items next on the agenda. First, accepting file. Records for an annual financial review.
Got nothing you need to do with this other than acknowledge that they submitted it. I did email it out so you could look at it ahead of time. It'll just get filed in my records, current records. So if you want to accept and file it, please.
I'd move to approve the report.
Motion and a second to accept and file the following annual financial report. Is there any other discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And next we have a tax abatement.
Yeah, so Brenda gave me this one. She asked if she needed to be here. I figured it was pretty self-explanatory, so I did email it ahead of time. It has to do with a mobile home. It was taxes were all paid up at the time that the mobile home was removed from the property, but it still got put on there for one more session, so it didn't get cleared up in the records. So there was $70 due, even though the mobile home wasn't there at that time. So she would like you to beat those $70 so that we can get the records cleaned up.
Motion to agree $70.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the tax abatement. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And it is now 10:20. Andy Vanderrocken, County Attorney. Morning, Andy.
All right. What do you have for me today?
Oh, I've got nothing.
Just asked a quick double check. You're working on getting the updated abstract and title opinion on that building that they're buying. If that's still in the works to be March 1st closing.
I haven't seen the abstract.
Okay.
So I assume that they are,
Doing, yeah, as far as I know, everything.
Okay, because we do have the appraisal and inspection done. So that's the other thing we're kind of waiting for, so.
I'll check with the abstract office, make sure that they've received it.
Okay.
It seems to me that if, assuming that the abstract is clean, closing is a matter of signing the contract and delivering the 250,000.
Okay.
So I'm available Friday to help with that. I'm not going to be the following week.
I'll be gone Friday or
But I think that's gonna be
Dan's signature anyway. So
Dan's signature and I have to get the money.
yeah.
Dan's money.
Don't sell yourself short, you get to sign it too.
Okay.
Anyway, if you wanna somehow keep us up to date, whether it's gonna happen Friday or not, so I know. And
Thanks for the reminder. I will check with the abstract office. I mean, they knew that they needed to get the abstract there, right?
As far as, yeah, I'll double check, make sure that.
Yeah, I'll be available anytime the rest of the week, so.
Any news on the appeal case?
60. Anyone have anything else for Randy?
You don't do well the last.
You get off easy, Andy.
Thank you.
I need a week like that.
The only other thing I had a question about was the discussion we had with about the sheriff's department wages on Thursday. Did anyone ask Dan for sure if he was okay with that?
I sent him a message saying that that was what you offered and that it wasn't an increase in his budget.
Okay.
So he knows that that's part of the deal.
Because I was thinking on that this weekend, I'm like, boy, before we're spending someone else's budget, we should probably inform them.
Yeah, so he knows about it, so. He was out of town last week, so he did acknowledge the receipt of my email, but didn't like comment further.
Just last week, met with the Guardians of Northeast Iowa, which is a social agency group that works out of Chalmers, and we're hoping to move to Decorah for better visibility, but they do a lot of work for social services and agencies like that. They basically provide conservatorship and management for individuals who aren't capable of doing that or don't have anyone else to do that, or living independently or at home or something like that. So it's an incredibly important need to fill, but obviously their funding is getting cut. And like everybody else is very focused on the country. It's Danny's multi-site associated with local office. Located in Chalmers, and I said, so I don't know, so maybe that's part of the problem. So you should get out and get in and understand what you do. If you do a lot of Texas. Maybe to the state. It's state, we get funds from the state, and I don't know, I
would guess that CSS probably pays them to provide services for people that qualify for those types of, whether it's CSS or other.
So that's why I said it'd be important for them to get on the agenda and come and talk about what they do, and it would be nice to have them move to Decorah for better visibility reasons. I don't know if they'll be obviously looking for office space.
You don't have anything else?
I'd move to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. Further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Yeah, Thursday night. Yeah, Wednesday.